Welcome to Throwback Thursday number 2. As we continue our M'Baku challenge, try to solve problems without technology, without calculators, using mental math. What I have here is a picture of the coronavirus. This is what it looks like, extremely magnified. And you might have seen a picture of it before. But I looked it up, and this is how, if you were to measure it with some kind of crazy tiny ruler, it is 0.0000006 centimeters wide. That's really, really tiny. And I was just wondering about, all the hand sanitizing and everything we're doing with that, about why we do that. And the pens that you use or the pencils that you use, if you measure the top of it, it's about 0.6 centimeters wide. And I was wondering if you could predict about how many coronaviruses could fit across the top of your pen. So if they were lined up in a line, how many coronaviruses could fit across your pen? And in order to do that, you have to be able to understand a little bit about multiplying with decimals. And I just wondered, do you think one of them could fit across? In other words, if you take 0.00006 times 1, would that get you all the way across? If you multiplied it by 10, would that get you all the way across? If you multiplied by 1,000,000, would that get you all the way across? What do you think? Well, it's actually this. There's 1,000,000. You could theoretically fit 1,000,000 coronaviruses across just the top of your pen. And the reason I bring this up is not only to remind us to hand sanitize and keep our mask over our nose, but it's going to bring up a lot of the work that you guys are going to do in science this year and a lot of other places, that working with really tiny numbers or working with really big numbers, sometimes there's ways to multiply them and add them without having to rely on a calculator. And you can kind of do it pretty quickly. So today I spoke to M'Baku. He was very unhappy. You can see the look on his face there. And he said that we can use a calculator today if I said we need it. But to please never, ever, ever bring it into his land. So he said it's okay as long as we're in our part of Wakanda, but I don't want to have that conversation again. So we're allowed to use a calculator today. And this is what you're going to do. So if you can please take out your Throwback Thursday task number 2. And where there's a blank, we're going to work on a new standard of mathematical practice today. And that is to recognize patterns. All right, we're going to try to recognize patterns. We're going to try to understand why they happen. And then we're going to try to use those patterns to solve problems. That's the new standard. This is what good mathematicians do. They try to recognize patterns in the world, try to understand why they happen, and then use them to predict or so on. So this is what you're going to do first. You are going to use a calculator to finish each of these math sentences. All right, so you're just going to go straight down the page and just put these numbers in a calculator. That's it. And then right next to it, put the answer. And of course, we are going to try to look for patterns. We're going to try to understand why those patterns happen. And then we are going to use those patterns to try to answer this question down here. What is the pattern you noticed? How do you think you could solve this problem without a calculator? And how do you think you could solve this problem without a calculator? So see if we can use the calculator to start to get us to a point where we don't need the calculator. All right, that's the idea. So your job right now is to finish this standard of mathematical practice. Write that out. You're going to use a calculator to answer all these questions. And then you are going to see if you can do this. Try to explain that. When you're done that, we're going to play a little game called Tiny Number. And you can read the directions for that game on the back while you're waiting to start. And that's it.